Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me here today. My name is Dr. Ndidiamaka Obadan, also known as Dr. Didi. I'm the founder of Younger Self MD Medical Clinic Health and Wellness, which is located in Kennesaw, Georgia. We help adults prevent and treat medical conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and chronic kidney disease in as little as a 30-minute consultation so they can go on to live healthier, happier, and longer lives. And today I have the amazing Dr. Rashmi, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Thank you so much, Dr. Didi. I'm so excited to be here with you. So my name is Dr. Rashmi Schramm. I am a board-certified family physician. I've been in practice for about 23 years or so. I'm also a certified coach as well as a certified meditation teacher. I am the founder of Optimal Wellness, and what we do here is we actually help really high-achieving, busy women to tap into their own inner peace and power so they can lead more energetic and fulfilling lives. And we do that by using all the tenets of mindfulness, of Ayurveda, which is really the original lifestyle medicine, if you will. And I do one-on-one work. I also do group work as well. And your work and I think my work are very similar in that you're helping people to move the needle in their health to bigger and better mind-body health. And that's really how I see myself helping folks as well.
Yes, and that is amazing. I am yes, I practice integrative medicine. And a lot of all these therapies, what we describe as non-conventional, have so many therapeutic effects, like how do you pronounce it? I call it
Ayurveda.
Ayurvedic.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yep.
It's
Yep.
Ayurveda. Say it again.
Ayurveda. So
Ayur.
Ayur means
It's like I'm speaking a different
yeah,
language now. It's
that's
it's
right. It
beautiful.
is.
I just Ayurveda. Yeah, don't even try to look at it. Don't even tell me to spell it. I'm gonna just butcher the spelling as well. But it's very therapeutic and it works. So
Yeah.
why not? Why not admit? So tell us how you got here and why you chose to focus on this type of therapy and how it's helping your patients.
Yeah, as a family physician, kind of on the front lines for years and years and years, it was very, very apparent to me that all of us, just as a society, had way more than what was good for us as far as health and as far as stress and the stressors of daily life were concerned. And it wasn't, of course, just my patients, it was everyone around me, including me. And ultimately, I started to look for these. I don't even like to call them alternative, but I just think of them as more integrative, just like you said, right? And complementary types of things, because I personally was also going through kind of almost a very slow burn, if you will, kind of a burnout that was a very slow burnout where I was losing interest in things. I was starting to have emotional kind of just irritability that didn't feel right for me. I, of
Yeah.
course, then waited until physical symptoms appeared. And you'll like this one. I was drinking so much Diet Coke. I was passing kidney stones,
That
literally in the office.
Oh my God, really?
Right. So,
That
and
is what
chronic daily
happens.
migraines.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's what
yes,
happens. It's what
yeah. It
happens, right?
happens to a lot of us. A lot of us get
Absolutely.
it's
So,
like a
so
downward
I,
spiral. The bad habits, you turn to comfort food, and then there's more stress. And so yes, you just keep going down this rabbit hole of adding more problems, so to speak. And then, you start taking medicine, different kinds of medicines. Well, and they all have their side effects. And, it's more problems and it just keeps going on and on and on. Next thing you know, the person comes in. I've seen this a lot. 25 pills that are prescribed, and then a lot more over the counter that they take, and they feel miserable.
oh yeah, no, it's an everyday occurrence as a family physician, 100%. Yeah, yeah. So I just, I was kind of at rock bottom. I had plenty of exposure to yoga and to meditation when I was growing up. I grew up in India, and I
Oh,
grew up in a very large family. And the matriarch, my grandmother, I lived with her. She was amazing. She practiced every day, and
which
she had
part of
taught me quite a
India?
few things. Yeah, in South India.
Oh, okay.
So I had dabbled in it. I was a closet meditator in college. I never told anyone, but I meditated with different groups, and certainly this one group where we met every week. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to the library," you know. So I was afraid of what people were thinking, and I had abandoned all of that, all of those things that I understood would connect my mind and my body and help me emotionally. All of that when my kids were little, when I was working a lot, when I was burning out. And ultimately, that's really why I went back to try to see what was here for me, whether it was meditation or Ayurveda. And honestly, I talk about one of the reasons that I signed up for like my first meditation teacher training, and that was, over a dozen years ago. It's not because I thought I was ever going to teach, but it's because I needed the community and I
Mm.
needed the in-depth kind of understanding of it. And, that just cascaded into like 15 other things, of course. But that was before social media. That was really before like internet. So I just had to fly to, learn all those things. So it was a beautiful experience, and it's always been a beautiful experience. And I've just had the opportunity to have deeper dives into these over the years as well.
That's great. Yes, I saw, well, as I was reading your bio, the all the good certifications that you have and coaching and all these therapies, and that's just amazing. And so you were sharing that you started having these things going on and the burn, and learned to these therapies and meditating, and they helped you overcome, right?
They did. And the thing about the human just mind and the human nature is that we'll do things just as quickly as we get better, we drop it, and that's what was going on with me.
So
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 not,
you would do, so yeah, so tell me more. What do you mean by that? Like you would
you
start
know,
it for a couple of months and then the habit will fall back to old habits and
That's
right? Is that
it.
it?
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. You miss a day or two here, and then you go, oh, I just
It's
don't
not
even want to get into
working.
it. So I'm doing fine, da da da.
Mhm.
And then like 3 weeks later, there's another crisis. And I'm like, oh, super anxious. And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not even, moving. I'm not meditating. I'm not doing anything that I know is helpful for me to release stress. So that went on for quite some time. And I think that's pretty natural. And that's what I like to kind of, remind people is it's impossible. We're not machines. We can't just make a switch immediately, especially in the world of distractions that we live in, right? And especially in the world of like food like substances that we are fed all the time and advertised to, that are very addictive, that like the smartest scientists in the world came up with these substances like Diet Coke to keep us addicted. And so don't be surprised if our brains are addicted to it.
Yes.
Things like that. Just remind ourselves that it's okay to have these, off days, but the all or none thinking I had to move away from. And so it was like, as much as I can do today, kind of that's how I restarted back every time.
Okay. Well, that's amazing and that's really powerful. Just as much as I can do today, can do everything, and then just accept the fact that you're gonna have good days and bad days. Things are gonna happen, kind of and overcome. Well, that's great. Well, so you mentioned, I mean, we've talked about so many things already. I don't even know what tips you would want to share, but there, usually I ask my special guests to share 3 tips with us, with my audience. But I really wanted to talk with you about meditation. Um, does everybody have to meditate? And what is the difference between meditation and prayer, for example? Because sometimes when you try to have this conversation with, I remember a spiritual leader, I had this conversation and she was like, I don't believe in meditation. It's against prayer. And, I feel like they serve different purposes. It's a skill for me, but you're the expert in this field, so I really want to hear what your take is on meditation. Is it for everybody, and how and then you can share your tips with us.
Sure. I like this question because it actually comes up a lot. And
Hmm.
so I'll explain it the way that I see it. I don't know if that's like the way everyone sees it, right? And so meditation is definitely separate from prayer and religiosity, right? And to me, spirituality is different than religiosity. So spirituality to me is that connection to a higher self, that connection to, some people might call that God, universe, nature, whatever that is. That's really spirituality, our connection to something higher. And the kinds of meditation that I teach are spiritual in nature. They were designed to have us transcend the mind and the ego and the logical kind of mind, the analytical mind that can keep us very stuck in very limiting beliefs. Now, I have had students from, I think, almost every religion in the world come and work with me. And so that's a really common question that I get. And so what I say is, every religion is welcome. I will not be talking about religion, and religiosity will not be part of anything that we do. So part of the way I see religion is that there is a belief that's involved in that. And there is not a belief that's involved in meditation. You don't have to believe that it works for it to work. We have over 10,000 published studies that it works. It has been, something that every ancient wisdom tradition has in its, kind of teachings, right? And there has been an evolution of the kinds of meditation that I teach for 3, 4, 5,000 years. And so to me, that's pretty good evidence that this is a very helpful thing for us. And, in addition to that, to answer your question, does everyone have to meditate? No, I don't think so. Honestly, I have met people who just are just kind of these very mindful beings, because what meditation really is, it has a lot of sort of hashtags, if you will, but meditation is very simple. It is just the journey from activity into stillness. We're not creating anything. We're not doing anything. We're just touching the stillness that's already always there. And mindfulness, so it's a very formal practice of mindfulness. It's the fastest way that we build up our mindfulness muscle. So a lot of people are just generally very mindful. And let me tell you what I mean by that. They're just generally pretty easygoing, not just on the outside, but on the inside as well. And they're also very, very introspective. They tend to be able to process things. They give themselves a lot of space and time to metabolize things. They're more present than some other people. And so mindfulness, that's really what that is. Mindfulness is the awareness. That's really what we're talking about. Am I aware that this thought is here? Am I aware that this emotion is here, right? And there's also a component of mindfulness in that we're really trying to be in this moment. Like you're in this moment, I'm in this moment, I'm listening to what you're saying, you're listening to what I'm saying, the listeners are listening, right? Even though they might be driving, they might just be listening intently. That's mindfulness. That's just awareness. And there's a sense of curiosity over judgment. And that's really just it. It's very, very simple. So no, I don't think everybody has to meditate. But what we do know is somewhere around 25 to 35% of adults in the US are very interested in meditation. And they've tried to meditate before, or they're looking for meditation in some way, shape, or form.
That's very powerful. So, I mean, I just love the words that you were using. I like how you described it. And when you mentioned that a lot of people are just naturally more mindful, what came to my mind is that they are meditating all the time.
Yeah,
And that is
for
why
sure.
they
Yeah.
are, some people, they just have a more disciplined mind. It's either they have been born into a family that does it. You know how when it is when you just do things um automatically, reflexly, it's normal to you. And then only when you go out into the world and meet other kinds of people, that's when you realize that, oh, this thing that you're doing has actually been a skill that people have been trying to acquire. And there are different kinds of meditation, right? The other day I was, studying about transcendental
Mhm.
meditation, because the first time someone introduced this absolute stillness to me, it just didn't work for me. I mean, like, I would like to know your take on this. It didn't work for me because, the whole idea of monkey mind, you should not let you should be as still. Like some people can never have an empty mind and not think about anything. Me, for one, maybe it's my level. Maybe I'm just starting, right? So maybe as I progress into this realm and become more I feel like I'm mindful already, but but there are different stages. I'm definitely not at the monk, the super monk stages. You know what I mean? But so yeah, what's your take on that? What's your take on transcendental meditation?
Yeah, so actually both kinds of meditation that I teach are specifically transcendental in that they help you transcend the mind, help you transcend the ego, so that we can go beyond kind of the everyday sort of hustle, if you will.
Do they
So they
require you to be absolutely still and empty
no,
mind?
not at
Okay,
all. In fact,
okay.
the Yoga Nidra, which is kind of the most popular kind of meditation that I teach, is fully guided, and all you have to do is lie down and follow along. And we use different techniques like body scans, we do breath work, we do all kinds of different mindfulness techniques in there. And it is a very deeply rejuvenating meditation, and the studies on that are astounding. The other kind I teach is a mantra-based meditation. There's no really quietness in that. In that, mantra just means mind vehicle or mind ladder. And so when we are thinking a mantra, it is a way for us to ground the mind, because the monkey mind
Mm,
does need a grounding. And
okay.
it's a very specific vibration. And when the monkey mind is able to hang on to this vibration, then we're able to be in a space where we can watch our thoughts. I have never in my life had probably even a minute where I did not have a thought. So I think that's some sort of myth and it's a fallacy. I mean, I think
Yes.
so I do
I'm
think
so
as we
glad to
go
hear
along.
you say this. Like, you don't know how happy I am to finally hear you say, I mean, somebody say it's okay not to have this completely void and empty mind, because
No,
it's,
no, I don't. It's not possible. I mean, we have up to 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. So that's one thought every 1.1 seconds. That's what the brain does. That's what it's supposed to do. It's going to try to predict the future all the time, or kind of think about the past. And it's automatic. And so as we progress, though, in our practice, we're able to at least recognize that it's a thought and recognize that we are not those thoughts, and then recognize that we have a choice as to whether do I want to follow that thought or do I want to come back to the guidance. That's really all the meditation is asking you to do, and that's as simple as it gets. And so if we don't understand that concept, we think there's no such thing as not meditating properly, because meditation is a practice of non-judgment. And so if you're sitting there judging your meditation practice, it's
you're
not
doing it
actually a
wrong.
mindful thing, right? And the other thing
Yes.
too, like I love what you said, which is, I think I'm already a mindful person. I agree. In that there is an awareness of what is happening, right? So that's really what we're talking about. And there are so many different ways that we can meditation, if you will, just kind of like you said. So my older daughter, she's really into rock climbing. And it is
Mm,
one of the most mindful things that we can ever do, right? Because if we are not in that moment with curiosity and not carried away by our thoughts, things aren't going to go very well. So, and if she's doing that for 2 hours a day, which she does in the summer, that's 2 hours of mindfulness, and that transfers into, the rest of those 22 hours. There's so many other
that's,
things, like skiing, like where you have to be present.
yeah,
There's surfing. There's so many activities
yeah,
that are mindful ways for us to be. Playing chess, I mean, any of those things are
yeah.
actually really strengthening the mindfulness muscle.
That's so powerful. For me, it's when I'm exercising at the gym and I am on my any of the machines there, going hard for a long period of time. All of a sudden I achieve what I call a feeling of wellness because I start to feel I'm not hearing anything, I'm not seeing anything, I'm just doing the repetitive motion, and it just takes me to a different plane, so to speak, and everything is okay. I have no pain. And being able, this is what I try to teach my patients, that if you're able to combine a positive thing, like with rock climbing, for example, movement, you're burning the calories at the same time as well as healing your mind and so you're using one therapeutic approach to hit several things at the same time, killing multiple birds with one stone. So that's great. I love that. So let's move on to the next phase, which is tell us 3 tips that you would like to share with us. I mean, we've been talking about meditation, so I think that will be the first one for sure. Everybody should go and start trying to meditate, right? Or, what would you want to share with us about
I would just
relaxation?
say, yeah, I would really about meditation. I would say this. I would say if it's something that someone's been curious about, because if they know somebody or they, because a lot of times if we try to say you should meditate, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. So if there's a curiosity, then I think exploring that would be great and fun. And people can start with just a simple app. There's Calm, there's Headspace. I also have a free YouTube channel with lots of evidence-based beginner meditations. If anyone wants to try those are there. And really to kind of piggyback on what you said, Dr. Didi, which is this idea of like killing 2 birds with one stone. And that's really something that I also try to teach as well. And so for me, what I do every single morning is I go for a run outside with unplugged. I don't wear anything. Well, I wear clothes, but I don't wear any electronics.
Yes, please. Let's clarify that, please.
Let's
Yeah.
clarify. I am not naked. No one needs to come into my neighborhood to try to see a naked woman running down the road at 6 a.m. But really what we can do is we're practicing mindfulness. If we're listening for the sounds, if we're looking to see what's here, if we're just present. And like you said, if, I'm just noticing the cadence of like my feet, and I can do that for 30 minutes even, that's, mindfulness, that's time in nature, which is so healing, and that's movement. So I think if we can combine movement with some amount of mindfulness, which is just presence, it's always going to be a great way for us to spend time that is usually a very scarce resource for all of us. Like I would say that. And then really the third one would be really focusing on meaningful connections with others. And meaningful connection with ourselves too. And we know that loneliness is an epidemic, and we know that, and of course you know this too, but just if someone is lonely, the kind of the risk of developing chronic diseases, which you help them avoid, is the same as smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And so really reconnecting, making that a priority, because I think COVID really shook all that up. We were already kind of headed in that direction, particularly in really busy cities, which is kind of a conundrum.
Yeah.
Because everyone gets too busy. So creating the space in our lives to make meaningful connections, I would say, is the third most important tip, I would say.
That's amazing. Those are all powerful tips, and I can't emphasize the last point enough. Relationship building, connections, staying in touch. This you can't do it all by yourself, can be isolated. In fact, that's the first sign that there's a problem, when you feel the need to isolate and move away from everyone or withdraw. And yeah, that's when you need to intentionally reach out, resist the temptation to hide. So that's really powerful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with our audience.
Of
So
course.
we have almost come to the end of our podcast, but before we leave, can you share something interesting that happened to you recently, or something you just learned that made you feel more empowered?
Oof. Okay. Something that really it just happened yesterday, which is really kind of cool. But
Wow.
I am hosting a movement and meditation retreat with Dr. Michelle Quirk, and we just sold it out 2 months ahead of schedule. So we are totally all set. And
Congratulations.
thank you. So it reinforces what we just talked about, which is connecting with others, time in nature, moving, and stillness, all of those together. And of course, we'll give people really great food too. So when we can combine those, like people are looking for that in there. And it just felt like a very empowering, kind of beautiful thing that I was just celebrating today. So I thought I'd share that with you.
Oh, that's really good. Thank you so much. And where's that going to be? Give us all the
It's going to be in Blue
details.
Ridge Mountains in Central Virginia. So it's in Charlottesville, Virginia. And so that one is sold out, and we don't have a wait list because we oversold it. But we are going to have another one, most likely in Florida in February. So if anyone's interested, I'll have all the information on my website, which is just my name, rashmischramm.com. Would love to have you.
Okay. Oh, that would be good. And then we'll post it also when you share the notes, we'll post it on YouTube. Thank you so much for coming on our show today. How can people find you? if they want
So
to
I'm
work
on
with you.
Instagram. Yeah, it's all my handles are the same, which is Dr. period and then my name, Dr. Rashmi Schramm. I'd love to connect on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm also on Threads now, which is the new one. I'm also on TikTok, y'all. So I don't even know. And YouTube, of course, that's the main one. So YouTube might be the most helpful for people, but I do the one I'm most active on, I would say, is Instagram, though.
Instagram. Okay, great. So we're definitely going to put that in the notes as well, so everyone can find you and work with this amazing doctor in Florida. And it was amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, and hope you'll come back again sometime to share some more tips with us.
It has been my
As we
pleasure. Thank you so much. I'd love to come back. Yep. Thank you.
Well, thanks all for joining us. I look forward to our next special guest that we'll be having. And remember, we're currently accepting patients at Younger Self MD. You can find us on our website at youngerselfmd.com or give us a call, 404-566-4623. We'll be happy to have you. Bye for now.